Why did Bowser help anyway? Because Cursa took over all of his minions. And so he was helping us out so that he could get his minions back. To then take over the world and the galaxy. All that good stuff. But alright. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope has been defeated. That was a really long final battle, actually. I'm pretty sure I went into it with like 30 minutes to go. And it's now almost 2 hours and 30 minutes into the stream. So, pretty crazy. I didn't write down my thoughts for this game, so we're just gonna have to do this one off the dome. But my overall thoughts is I really enjoyed this game. You know, I really enjoyed the first game too, and I think this one is a nice classic example of it's more of the same with improvements and you know, various quality changes and whatnot that just really like they're really nicely built on a great foundation. I really like it when tactics games they don't just stick to the normal tactics formula. It's like, sure, you can make a Final Fantasy tactic, sure, you can make a tactics ogre, you know, you can try to replicate what the big names are, or you can do something like this, which adds its own little twists and little changes here and there that just make the game so fresh in the genre. And that's one of the things that I like about this game more than anything else, is just how fresh it is. I feel like you could make 5 games in this series and it still wouldn't get old. Another thing that I like about this too, which is a crazy thing, is that this is a Mario game with Mario characters, and some of these characters have guns and they're shooting things. It's crazy. You know, just like thinking about that, these type of crossovers never happen in Nintendo properties. And, you know, you might be thinking of like Super Smash Bros., but, you know, that one's an exception. You know, think about something else besides Super Smash Bros. Like, this stuff rarely happens. So it's super cool to actually see this type of crossover happen, not just once, but twice. Like, the first game did well enough to justify a second game, and Nintendo still signed off on it. So I think it's just super cool to have games like this. In terms of the story, you know, I personally don't play these games for the story. They don't really add too much. It's not like a crazy huge deal or anything like that. But, you know, the story was okay. You know, got to get some sparks. We got to stop Cursa. You know, stuff happens. For gameplay, I definitely enjoyed the gameplay of this one. They made some changes. I think you could move after attacking in the first game. It's been a while. I don't remember. But they made some changes, and I don't think they were for like the worst or anything like that. I think they were some good changes. I will say, this is gonna, I'm just gonna say it. I think there are some characters in this game that are just good, and then there's characters that are not good. And then there's characters that have amazing utility, and then there's characters that, you know, you can use them for like one objective or something like that. And I think it's fairly evident that the characters that I use the most are the ones that are the strongest. or at least that I feel are the strongest, and that the characters that I didn't use are the ones that fall behind quite a bit. And I think, off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember all the characters, I think Rabbid Luigi is without a doubt the weakest character in this game. He does no damage. He has a skill that makes it so you take less damage when you don't even want to be taking damage at all. And his bounce ability is really cool, but that's the only justification to bring him. And so if you get into a mission like that train mission, where you need to kill a bunch of objectives and they're all grouped together, he's perfect for something like that. It doesn't matter how much damage he's doing. He can hit all the objectives in like 3 turns, or 2 turns, or 1 turn. But in a combat situation, he just doesn't do anything. I feel like Rabbid Peach is in a similar spot. You know, obviously you're going to be put in situations where you're going to take damage, but I just don't think that her healing ability was useful enough or necessary enough, at least for the difficulty that I played on for my playthrough, to really justify using her. There are characters that just come with way more utility than other characters. For example, Peach. Peach can destroy cover. Peach can make it so that people don't take damage, which means that you can play a little bit like more aggressively, which is one of the it's one of the things that you can do that prevent other issues, I guess. Like if you were to take damage, you could be frozen, you could, you know, take damage over time, you can get splashed somewhere. You know, there's so many issues that could happen if you were to take damage. But if you prevent the damage, or you focus all the attacks into you, then you have a scenario where you can move up with aggressive positioning and use that to your advantage. Peach is absolutely fantastic. Luigi is an interesting one because Luigi doesn't really have any utility. He is basically just a damage dealer at long range with an ability to overwatch. You know, he has an ability to shoot people that are moving within his attack range. And that made Luigi very, very strong because having a long range, I think it's very evident that there was only one long range attacker in this game, which kind of shows how strong they are, because I use Luigi a lot. I wanted to say the most, but it's possible Mario was in a lot. And Mario was really good. His ability to basically do what Luigi does, but in close range or like medium range, but also get charges back and do more damage when he's in that. It just worked out so well. Bowser has utility by having these little machine dudes that you can throw around and blow up cover with them. He can blow up cover with his regular attack. Bowser was pretty good. I don't think his little stomp ability was good. I think that's absolutely worthless. It would be one thing if you're in the air and you can activate the stomp and then do damage. But this was something with Rabbid Peach as well, where it just, like, it happens on your first jump sometimes. You know, there's like some sort of criteria that triggers it. And, you know, I don't want to activate it on my first jump all the time. As crazy as it sounds, could sound, I think Edge is probably the best character in this game. Just because Edge can be put into situations where you're doing guaranteed damage and you can then back off to a safe spot and either attack or protect yourself or something like that. Edge can do guaranteed damage without even taking any actions. It's incredibly strong to be able to do something like that. And it's super cool that they added a dashing character to this, because not only like a dashing character that just has a lot of dashes, but has abilities that are built off of the dashes. You know, you get more movement, you do more damage with every dash you do. It's super cool. I guess the biggest downside is you can't always dash bosses, but you know, there's that. Also, probably one of the most overpowered characters, maybe even more overpowered than Edge, just because you could slot this character into any team and bring the ruckus. That's Rabid Rosalina. Being able to lock down enemies in a fairly large circle radius, and they can't do anything for 2 turns. I think it was most evident on the mission where I was fighting Daphne, and I just pushed Rabid Rosalina as close as I possibly could, locked her down along with, you know, some enemies on the sides or whatever, and then just moved up the rest of my team and then had Edge kill her. You know, it's so strong. And I guess the point that I'm trying to make with the strong characters is it's really cool to have strong characters like this, and it's also really cool to be able to utilize these characters in scenarios where they're strong. But it's also cool that, you know, they have some of these weaknesses. You know, if you can't dash anything, Edge is just kind of not a good character. There were many scenarios where it's like, I could put Edge in here and I could dash these enemies that are close by, but that doesn't really help me for the long-term mission. You know, Edge doesn't do insane damage as a ranged attacker. At least the way that I built Edge. So that was another thing that I felt was really nice, and kind of just a shame with all the other characters that fell behind. Rabid Mario, I think that's an example of a character that if I use that character, maybe I could find a use. But for the most part, if you're going up into the face of other enemies, you're putting yourself in a very bad spot. And from what I saw, I didn't see that Rabid Mario had enough tools to like want me to take that risk. Not only weren't there not enough tools, but some of the tools that Rabid Mario had were too much of an investment to go after. You know, like being able to move after you attack. But at the end there, Rabid Mario did show that, you know, he's nobody to be trifled with. So it's possible that Rabid Mario is a lot better than I thought. For the Sparks mechanics, actually, I thought this was a neat addition. The positioning ones probably take it over the top. I used those in a couple situations where it definitely felt like I was cheating. But overall, I like the sparks. I like being able to utilize different damage types and take advantage of those situations. I like to to be able to customize my team with whatever sparks that I feel are appropriate for the play style that I'm using them in. And then I also like that they have passives which further the customization options and allow you to either build characters based off of their actives, their passives, or both. So that was super, super cool. As far as the worlds go, I think I enjoyed pretty much all the worlds. I think they were varied. The enemies were changing throughout them. And I also think the enemy types, I mean, there were some really annoying ones, but like they were reasonably annoying, you know? They had a certain play style that you needed to get a strategy against, and you know, it worked out quite nice. I'm not disappointed in the enemy types at all. I certainly would like less recolors, of course. I think that would be a better thing, but you know, sometimes, you know, you don't. There's a lot of enemy types in this game, and to have a unique one for every single one, you know, that's tough. But I do think that they could do that more. Is I suppose where I can go with that.
So, Genie, how do you feel about your first adventure as an honorary hero?
My feelings as such are not relevant. The mission was successful. That is all that matters.
Genie, I thought you had adapted, learned to engage with emotional experiences.
Relax, Beepo. That was merely a jest. Something set to cause general amusement and laughter.
Is that so? Well, perhaps my mentoring hasn't been in vain after all. I'm proud of you, Genie.
I don't know if we're gonna get any more voice acting. All right, that end there was kind of interesting, but yeah, I guess to start ramping things up, for the like sound and music, I enjoyed some of the music. I think I need to listen to the soundtrack for this game to see how it plays outside of it. For the voice acting was okay. I'm so glad that they added voice acting for Beepo, because in the first game, Beepo was just making a bunch of noises, and it's like I can't read that out loud while he's making the noises, so I like have to wait for him to stop making the noises, and then I can read it. It was just really annoying. I think at one point I just stopped reading his text out loud or something like that. So I'm really glad that they added voice acting to Beepo and a lot of the other characters as well. Like, I guess just Genie. But they did most of the talking, so, you know, it was fine. Let's see. I guess if the developer is watching, I enjoyed this game a lot. I love playing games that take something that is familiar to us and then do something new and different with a familiar formula and just expand upon it and make it cool. And I just can't say that enough. Like, these Mario plus Rabbids games are just amazing in how they accomplish that. I would definitely like a sequel. I really hope this game sells enough to justify a sequel because, like I said, you know, I could probably get 5 of these games and they could all be relatively the same, and I'd still be happy with them. It's just fun to go through the missions, because In some tactics games, you could say, you know, it's a puzzle to get through those missions. You got to figure out where to put units and stuff like that. But in this one, I feel like the puzzle element of it is more amplified because you have other options that will change your play style completely. It's not necessarily about classes. It's about how do I build this character to do what I want them to do within the confines of that character. And, you know, like other tactics games, you can kind of build characters however you want. For a lot of tactics games, anyways. And so this one was a little bit more confined, and you know, it was nice. I liked it a lot. I think that's all I got for Mario plus Rabbids. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up here for today. I wasn't expecting the last mission to actually take as long as it did. I thought I'd beat this game, you know, like in an hour or something like that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow around 10 a.m. Pacific time to play some video games. So see ya the next time I see you. Peace.